Our top focus at 10 a.m. Top terror mastermind Hafiz Saeed has virtually given a clean chit to colleague and 26/11 co-conspirator Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi. Now, Saeed, chief of the banned Jama'at-ud-Da'wah, had claimed that Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi is innocent, adding that India was falsely trying to implicate him in the 26/11 terror case. According to Saeed, India has no evidence against Lakhvi and has approached the United Nations and the US in desperation. Now, these comments come after India took up the release of Lakhvi's with the United Nations. Lakhvi was granted bail by a Pakistani court and released last month. The United Nations Security Council Committee has assured India that it will take up the issue of Lakhvi at its next meeting. Saeed's comments have generated strong reactions in India. All right, let's go across to Hamza Amir, who joins us from Islamabad, and then we'll also cut across live to Brigadier V. Mahalingam, who's defense expert, joining us here in the studio, as well as strategic affairs expert Gaurav Sawant, strategic affairs editor, also an expert, joining us here in the studio. Let me come across to you, Hamza, first. Isn't this a cruel joke at the expense of India, where one terrorist is calling the other terrorist innocent?
Well, yes, in fact, it is nothing less than a joke. But, in Pakistan, the people you're calling as the terrorists, claiming other terrorists as a clean chit. The one terrorist that you talk about is Hafiz Saeed, and he's already got a clean chit from Pakistani courts. The other terrorist who is out on bail is in process of getting another clean chit from the Pakistani court. So both of these people are actually going to be free. And then when Lakhvi was released, we actually revealed this fact that Lakhvi was escorted by Jama'at-ud-Da'wah security officials, and then he has been in active contact with Hafiz Saeed and all the other people on daily basis. He's in their safe custody, and no one is able to actually get across to him. And at that time, these connections were already going on. So when Hafiz Saeed comes up and says that he says the India has got no evidence against Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi, and that's why they're going to UN in desperation, is something that he just only is trying to make fun of the whole process, because Pakistani courts have given a 2-month deadline. After 2 months, the case will be no more. So you might not actually find even a single terrorist, as Pakistan would say them to be, in Pakistan. Hafiz Saeed is already a free man in Pakistan, and now Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi is on.
Now, Brigadier Mahalingam, this is how India is looking at it, or at least people in India, and I would like to hear your view on this. The Pakistani courts are taking whatever decisions they are because of a weak prosecution, because of a case where the establishment has not been able to mount a convincing argument or a case in the courts. And that is why these terrorists are roaming free, and now, almost like a cruel joke at the cost of India, are calling one another innocent.
Absolutely. You see, in fact, Hafiz Saeed perhaps has forgotten that this man Lakhvi was arrested from a terrorist camp in Muzaffarabad. That is the start. Now, secondly, as far as his planning is concerned, as far as his involvement with David Edmund Colney is concerned, India may not have any evidence. Forget the India's evidence. What about the evidence which have been produced by the United States?
Absolutely.
The United States has produced enough evidence to prosecute him straight away. That has not happened. And we must also remember that he is a notified terrorist by the United Nations Security Council.
Absolutely.
Security Council doesn't notify a person as a terrorist just on the verbal message from someone or the other.
Absolutely.
Therefore, as far as India is concerned and the world is concerned, this man
is on strong
terrorist.
footing. We are on strong footing as far as this man is concerned.
Absolutely.
And these self-imposed, certificates that Gaurav, they are giving one another, one terrorist calling another terrorist innocent, is not something that is actually going to imply or have much meaning internationally, particularly because there is a mountain of evidence of all the crimes that they've actually committed.
Look, Pakistan has become the theatre of the absurd. It actually defies logic. In any civilized country, there is enough evidence to prosecute not just Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi, but also Hafiz Mohammad Saeed, except in Pakistan. Pakistan is complicit in this case also because despite India repeatedly asking for Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi's voice samples, because his voice is on tape. He was in that control room in Karachi directing the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. That intelligence, that evidence, that voice sample hasn't been shared with India. He was charged in 2009. From 2009 till 2015, Pakistan hasn't prosecuted him effectively. They file a weak case, they don't produce evidence, their diplomats say this is literature. In any civilized nation, Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi by now would have been convicted along with Hafiz Saeed, except in Pakistan. It's just a theatre of the absurd.
Now, Brigadier Mahalingam, what Gaurav says, that it's the theatre of the absurd, but unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of choosing our neighbors. We have to coexist with Pakistan right in the neighborhood. How should India be diplomatically taking this matter up from here on?
See, the point is, as far as India is concerned, if you mentioned that internationally, the international people have no concern. They are worried and they are concerned about their own issues. Now, if India cannot help itself, nobody can help it. And let me tell you, as far as Lakhvi and Hafiz Saeed are concerned, they are part of the ISI's game plan.
Absolutely.
So therefore, the ISI and the army is not going to let him be punished under any circumstances.
Absolutely.
This must be quite clear to India.
And imagine
what the method that India has to do is, India has to now understand that it has to act.
Absolutely.
And it has to act against Hafiz Saeed. It has the capability, it has the potential to do what it is required. Unfortunately, our decision makers are unable to see what it is, what it needs. And I'm sure the present National Security Advisor understands that. We have to have the will. And once the countries, Pakistan as a country realizes that if you do something against it, it is going to cost for them, then this will come down and will perhaps stop. Till then, no international community, including United Nations and Security Council, will have any effect on Pakistan on this particular
Absolutely.
issue.
Time for some tough talk as far as Pakistan is concerned. But Pakistan is not the only neighbor that is giving India grief at this moment.